I proposed an opportunity for the service user community at Counterpoint Outpatient to participate in sharing their feedback and/or experiences with staff. My design encouraging service user feedback was straightforward, simply inviting members to anonymously share their experiences throughout treatment in written form. Anyone, referring to both the youth and their support persons, was invited to voluntarily share if they desired. When I first proposed the design to my team, Scott, my clinical supervisor, advised me to change the wording of instructions from staff at Counterpoint Outpatient invites you to participate in an activity where you can share your experiences to student intern invites you. This felt uncomfortable, as I really wanted participants to feel as though the entire staff was genuinely interested in receiving their feedback and finding possible ways to improve the structure of service delivery. I was very mindful of sustainability and how this type of consultation could continue when my internship is over. I wanted this book of feedback to be a living document, always available for additions. I did overlook a few things in implementing the design. I assumed that a few of the comments from the youth and parents would be inappropriate and for various reasons would not be added to the document. Looking at power dynamics within Counterpoint Outpatient, employees are at liberty to pick and choose what feedback is appropriate and should be shared with future service users. When I proposed the design and how I foresaw it being implemented, Scott was resistant to the book of feedback being shared with future service users. While I own that my presentation to Scott was rushed and not fully thought out, he expressed discomfort with the book living in a public place where current and new families in treatment would have access to it, without any concrete reasoning. My goal in allowing new families in treatment to read others' feedback and experiences was for them to feel connected to other individuals who have worked to end the cycle of sexual abuse in their families. It can be empowering for people to feel connected to others who have similar experiences as them and who made it through a time as difficult as when families are in treatment at Counterpoint Outpatient. This reaction from Scott is a consistent one that says in so many words that his professional expertise is the right way. While his lack of efforts to understand my perspective not only diminished my contributions and thoughtfulness to this project, but he also works to keep the status quo, which says that service users' voice and perspectives are not valued. Due to time constraints, I was unable to gain as many responses of feedback as I had originally hoped for. But here is what the youth at Counterpoint Outpatient have to say. Life here was fun and thankful. It's pretty nice here. I love playing Steal the Bacon. Counterpoint Outpatient is a great program that helped me become a better person. It made me a better member to my family. The two family therapists that facilitate peer group elicited these pieces of feedback from youth in group. One thing I find interesting about the feedback is the one where the youth speaks to his enjoyment of playing games. I find that this time in treatment for youth is often a time where they are in trouble with the courts and usually in trouble at home. The youth are under constant supervision and are reminded daily by different authority figures of their decision to sexually hurt someone. While I do not think that this attention and strict direction is unwarranted, I think this quote tells us a lot. The gift of laughter and connection building through games means something to this youth. As clinicians, we should employ trust in our youth that they can laugh, play a game, be silly, and still understand the seriousness of their behavior. I have used game playing and laughter as techniques to rapport build with youth and have found it to be really successful in helping youth talk about their past traumatic experiences and current struggles. I think this opportunity allowed service users to feel validated with their work and accomplishments in treatment. I recognize that empowerment practice is shaped by agency context, and because Counterpoint Outpatient's service user community involves mostly adjudicated and involuntary participants, the agency is not often challenged to incorporate service user voice and perspective in regards to defining what services should be and what constitutes them as successful. Because our program rarely receives any pushback from its community members, staff sees no need for change. Currently, I have an envelope set up near the waiting room for community members to leave written feedback. In considering the most ideal place for participants to see and have an opportunity to write down their experiences, my hope was for the instructions to be in the waiting room. I did not get permission or helpful guidance on where to set up, nor was my initiation of a dialogue about such details well received by my team members. So far, I have not received any investment or buy-in from my team in creating a consistent approach to receiving service user voice, such as the one I proposed. One way our agency strives to gain community member perspective is by encouraging youth and their families to fill out program evaluation forms when they finish treatment. I cannot speak to the effectiveness or quality of such evaluations as I have not seen them, but I have heard team members say that they have forgotten to have youth fill them out once they have already left treatment. Herein lies my reasoning for a more consistent approach. I believe our agency is creating a culture where community members are told that their voices do not matter from the moment they walk through our doors. The invitation for service users to share their experiences, both positive and negative, with their therapists is nearly non-existent. The culture we are creating is dangerous. It's dangerous because everyone's story is different, as we all experience life in our own unique way. We must not assume that we understand what someone has experienced because we have heard similar stories before, or that we have had similar experiences ourselves. We are creating a space where certain individuals are considered less than. Therefore, their opinions, concerns, and experiences are not valued. I struggled greatly with this assignment, feeling belittled throughout the process as just an intern. Over the course of my year as an intern with Counterpoint Outpatient, I have become keenly aware that social work is an activity that can either reinforce or oppress the status quo. Unfortunately, our program reinforces the status quo in diminishing service user feedback. In very small ways, I continue to challenge oppression within Counterpoint Outpatient. I see that agency practice is not critically reflective, which I try to promote. I was reminded while attempting this project that if I decide to do nothing to challenge the oppression in my practice, then I am essentially supporting the oppression because there is no resistance or protest coming from me. I can say that I challenged the status quo at Counterpoint Outpatient by resisting the current policies and trying to change them in regards to valuing service user feedback.